So it's another beautiful day on the Battle for Azeroth Beta, and today we're taking a look at the Windwalker Monk, the End of Legion flavor of the month. So overall it hasn't changed a lot, but some polishing has been done. Our talents as well as our abilities have been updated a bit to cover our missing artifact traits. So I'll be going over all the latest changes to our base toolkit, all the talents, as well as give you my thought on the gameplay and how they currently feel. Mind you, this is beta, so it might change, but it will probably not change a lot. And if you like these kind of videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let's get on with the video. So let's take a look at our spellbook, starting off with Leg Sweep. So Leg Sweep is now baseline, sporting a 1 minute cooldown, which is pretty damn nice. We don't have to spec into it anymore. So you knock down every enemy within 5 yards, stunning them for 3 seconds. And paralysis has been increased to 45 seconds, up from 15 seconds, so it's more in line with the other in-cap abilities. And Spinning Crane Kick, its damage bonus has been reduced to 10%, down from 40% per unique target you've used Tiger Palm, Blackout or Rising Sun Kick on. Moving on, Touch of Death, 10% of your damage dealt during the 8 seconds it is up will be added to the final damage of its tick, so pretty much like our trait in Legion. So you want to cram out your damage during those 8 seconds. And Transcendence Transfer's cooldown has been increased to 45 seconds, up from 25 seconds. Not sure why, but you can swoosh around a little bit less. And Diffuse has been replaced by Vivify, costs 30 energy and heals the target for X amount. And lastly, we've got Mystic Touch, our raid buff, so your damage weakens the target, increasing physical damage taken by 5%. And I think that pretty much covers the changes to our base toolkit. So let's take a look at the talents. Starting off with the 15 rows, we have Eye of the Tiger, She Wave and She Burst. Pretty standard row by now. Eye of the Tiger, Tiger Palm now applies a dot that deals damage and heals the monk. And She Wave, a wave of bouncy balls that either heals friendlies or damage meanies, bounces up to 7 times to targets within 25 yards. And She Burst, you hurl a big She Orb up to 40 yards forward, dealing X amount of damage to all enemies in its path, as well as healing all friendlies in its path. But it also generates 1 She per enemy damage to a maximum of 2 She. It's on a 30-second cooldown, and I mean it's pretty nice that it generates She. It makes it even more useful on AoE. So I assume you'll be rocking She Burst for any AoE and She Wave for single target, but we'll see how it pans out. And then the 30s row, so we have Celerity, She Torpedo and Tiger's Lust. So Celerity reduces the cooldown on roll by 5 seconds, and it increases its charges by 1. She Torpedo replaces roll with a torpedo-like effect instead, so it torpedoes you a long distance, and it increases your movement speed by 30% for 10 seconds. And this stacks up to 2 times. And then we have Tiger's Lust. It's on a 30-sec cooldown, it increases a friendly target's movement speed by 70% for 6 seconds, and it removes roots, snares, so it's an on-demand sprint for you or your friends. I mostly run with Tiger's Lust. It's just very useful in a lot of situations. You can speed up your tank in a dungeon, you can save someone from an AoE, or just speed yourself up. And I mean, you always have rolls, so it's not like you replace it. Moving on, we have the 45 row, Ascension, Fist of the White Tiger and Energizing Elixir. So Ascension increases our maximum She by 1 and max energy by 20, as well as your energy regen by 10%. And Fist of the White Tiger, deal a bit of damage to your target and generate 3 She on a 30-sec cooldown, and it costs 40 energy. Pretty nice to play around with, getting that huge chunk of She every now and then, but Energizing Elixir just feels a little bit more useful in my opinion. So on that note, we have Energizing Elixir. It's on 1 minute cooldown and it instantly refills all your energy, as well as it generates 2 She. And this elixir has pretty much always been ahead of the other talent choices. Sometimes they've been tied, but now that they've removed Power Strike for Fist of the White Tiger and added the 20 max energy to Ascensions, it might switch, but we'll see how that pans out. So the 60s row, we have Tiger Tail Sweep, Good Karma and Ring of Peace. So Tiger Tail Sweep increases the range of leg sweep by 2 yards and reduces its cooldown by 10 seconds. It just makes it easier to hit every mob with your stun, and you get to use it a little bit more often. However, 10 seconds isn't that much, and the overall extra usage you might get out of those 10-second reduction is minimal. Moving on, Good Karma works like our old legendary. Touch of Karma now redirect an additional 50% of your max HP, so it's both a survival increase as well as a DPS increase. And Ring of Peace. Form a Ring of Peace that knocks away any enemy that enters it or are standing in it, so works pretty much like always. So this row largely depends on what you need or what content you're running. The fact that you have leg sweep baseline opens up more possibilities with this row. You can opt for a lower cooldown and high range on said leg sweep, or more survivability and DPS with Good Karma, as well as better CC with Ring of Peace, which is great for like Sanguine and Mythic Plus or interrupting casts and stuff like that. But I'm guessing for raiding or pure single target you'll mostly be rocking Good Karma, but otherwise it will differ depending on what you're running. Moving on, 75 row, Inner Strength, Diffuse Magic, and Dampen Harm. So let's take a look at the shiny new Inner Strength. So each Chi you spend reduces your damage taken by 2% for 5 seconds, and it stacks up to 5 times. So you'll pretty much have this up at all time. You might drop it when you need to move or some energy starved moments, but overall it's a solid damage reduction, the kind other classes have been screaming about during Legion, but let's give it to the monk. Moving on, Diffuse Magic on a 1.5 minute cooldown reduces magical damage taken by 60% for 6 seconds and transfers all currently active harmful magic effects back to their original caster, if possible. So heavy magic damage encounters makes this pretty useful. And Dampen Harm on a 2 minute cooldown reduces all damage you take by 20 up to 50% for 10 seconds, and the larger attacks gets reduced more than the smaller ones. So just an overall defensive cooldown. So again, this depends on what you're after. Inner Strength will be overall damage reduction, Diffuse only works on magic, and Dampen is just a pure damage reduction cooldown. Moving on, we have the 90s row. So you have Hit Combo, Rushing Jade Wind, and Invoked Suin, the White Taiga. So Hit Combo, it works pretty much like it does in Legion, but it now only increases the damage by 1% instead of 2. So anytime you don't use the same spell or attack twice in a row, you get a stack. Every stack increases your overall damage by 1% and it stacks up to 6 times. So it ties in well with our Master, which does pretty much the same thing. I know a lot of people love this one, I personally don't. I don't like how the Mastery works, nor do I like this one, but I suppose it adds a bit more flavor to our rotation, making it more impactful if you do it correctly and more punishing if you don't, or you just get a weak aura or an add-on to manage it for you. And Rushing Jade Wind has been reworked again, so it now works like the Enhancement Shaman's Vortex or Fury of Air. You pop it and it's up until you cancel it or you run out of energy. It deals X amount of damage to all enemies within 8 yards of you, and it costs 4 energy to activate and then 4 energy every second. So this means you can have the nice swirly rushing effect around you at all time, do even more AoE damage, and the only thing you need to think about is using energy spenders a bit later than right off the bat, so you don't go below 4 energy and have to reactivate. Moving on, we have Invoked Suin. So you summon an effigy of Suin for 20 seconds, so it attacks your primary target and it strikes 3 additional enemies within 10 yards every 1 second with Tiger Lightning, dealing X amount of damage. It's on a 2 minute cooldown, so it's just a flat DPS cooldown that works both on single target and AoE. Not sure which one of these will come out on top. Rushing Jade Wind seems to do very well on AoE and on single target, and Hit Combo is just a flat damage increase unless you muck it up. And then the last row, so we have Spiritual Focus, Whirling Dragon Punch, and Serenity. So Spiritual Focus, every 2 Chi you spend reduces the cooldown on Storm, Earth, and Fire by 1 second, so the more you spend, the more often you have your fancy clones. Whirling Dragon Punch, it works like in Legion. You perform a upward strike dealing X amount of damage to all nearby enemies. It's on a 24-second cooldown and it can only be used if Fist of Fury and Rising Sun Kick are on cooldown. Not much to say about it, does loads of AoE damage and a fair amount on single target as well. So moving on to to Serenity. It's on a 1.5 minute cooldown. It replaces Storm, Earth and Fire, and you enter a state of Serenity for 12 seconds. And during it you deal 20% more damage and healing, and all your She spenders are free. And they cool down 100% faster. So pop it and go ham on your spenders. Again, hard to say which one will come out on top without spending hours doing math, and I'm leaving that to the math heads instead. I mean, Spiritual Focus will probably scale very well with gear due to being able to get more spenders out, and Serenity is still very good for bursty on-demand damage, both for single target and AoE. All in all, they're a lot of fun to play, loads upon loads of AoE and great utility for dungeons, seeing how you can have both Leg Sweep and Ring of Peace, so if you like them in Legion, chances are you'll still enjoy them come BFA. And that's pretty much it for the Windwalker Monk. If you have any questions at all, make sure to hit me up in the comments below. I try to answer any and all questions as well as I can. And as always, if you like these kind of videos and want to see more, make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave me a like and ring that notification bell and switch it to all. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.